The nurse asked me, "Where's the alpha?" I laughed, because 2 months after he marked me, he shoved money in my hand and said, "Disappear before my real mate finds out." Now I was bleeding in a hospital bed, and the doctor said, "You're in labor." His child was being born, and he didn't even know my name anymore. The nurse keeps her voice gentle, the way people do when they already know the answer but ask anyway. "Where's the alpha?" I laugh. It comes out wrong, thin, cracked, like something tearing inside my chest instead of humor. The sound surprises even me. My throat burns afterward. He said I trapped him. The nurse stills. Her pen stops scratching against the clipboard. For half a second, the room is quiet except for the steady, accusing beep of the monitor and the wet sound of my own breathing. A man steps closer. Doctor. Older. His eyes flick to the chart, then to my legs, where blood has soaked through the sheets no matter how many times they change them. "You're an Omega," he says quietly. I don't answer. There's no point. My scent is already betraying me, sharp panic layered over iron and pain. The suppressants I've been swallowing for months are losing the fight. "And you're in labor." The words land heavier than the pain between my hips. Labor. I grip the edge of the bed as another contraction rips through me without warning. My back arches. A sound claws its way out of my chest before I can stop it. The nurse moves instantly, pressing buttons, calling for someone else, but all I can think is how unfair it is that now my body chooses honesty. 3 years ago, this body didn't matter. 3 years ago, I was just something warm in the dark. The room tilts. Sweat slides down my temple. I squeeze my eyes shut, but memory doesn't care. The night Henry marked me, there were no lights on. I remember that first, the darkness, thick and expensive, the kind that belongs to places with locked doors and money soaked into the walls. His hand covered my mouth before I could say anything. Not rough. Not gentle either. Possessive. Certain. "Quiet," he murmured, breath warm against my ear. "You don't want anyone hearing." I should have run. Instead, my Omega instincts betrayed me before my brain caught up. His scent crushed into me, alpha dominance, polished shoes, control. It made my knees weak. Made me stupid. He promised protection. He said my name like it meant something. Said he'd take responsibility. Said no one would ever touch me again without his permission. When his teeth broke my skin, pain flashed white-hot, and then faded into something dizzying and false and sweet. I remember thinking, this is what safety feels like. 2 months later, he shoved an envelope into my chest and wouldn't meet my eyes. "Disappear," he said flatly. "Before my real mate finds out." I asked him if he knew. About the baby. He froze for half a heartbeat. Then his jaw tightened. "Get rid of it." The memory burns worse than the contractions. Another wave hits, harder this time. I cry out despite myself. My fingers dig into the mattress, nails tearing fabric. My voice breaks. "I need something for the pain." "You're too far along," the doctor says. "We're prepping now." They move around me, efficient, detached. No one asks about the alpha again. Good. If Henry finds out, the thought makes bile crawl up my throat. If he ever finds us, he won't come to help. He'll come to erase mistakes. His kind always does. He has money, lawyers, a spotless reputation. I have nothing but a forged ID and a job that pays cash under the table. And a child clawing its way into the world. I won't beg, I whisper to myself, over and over like a spell. I won't. My scent spikes. Fear. Defiance. Grief. The nurse squeezes my hand. "You're doing great," she lies. I scream when the next contraction hits, and this time I don't care who hears. Hours blur into blood and breath and pressure, so intense it feels like my body is splitting in half. At some point, I stop being embarrassed. I stop being polite. I become animal and instinct in raw need. Push. Breathe. Again. I think of Henry's face when he told me to disappear. The way his eyes slid past me, already erasing. I push harder. I think of the nights I slept curled around my stomach, whispering apologies to someone who couldn't hear me yet. I push until my throat shreds. "There," the doctor says sharply. I see the head. The pain crescendos into something unbearable. And then, a cry. Thin. Furious. Alive. The sound punches the air out of my lungs. For a moment, I forget everything. Henry. Fear. Running. I sob, chest heaving, as they lift my child into the light. Red-faced. Wrinkled. Perfect. My baby. They place him on my chest, slick and warm, his tiny fingers curling weakly against my skin. His scent hits me full force, Omega and Alpha tangled together, innocent and new. Love detonates in my chest so violently it hurts. "I've got you," I whisper hoarsely. "I won't let him touch you." I swear. The doctor clears his throat. Do you have a name for the father? My laugh comes back, broken bitter. No. Outside, somewhere far beyond these hospital walls, Henry is probably smiling for cameras, his arm wrapped around the omega he chose. He doesn't know what he lost. And one day, he will. I leave the hospital before dawn. The nurse argues. She says I should stay another night, that my body needs rest, that the baby needs monitoring. I nod, thank her, promise I'll think about it. Then I dress with shaking hands and keep my scent dampened under layers of suppressant and fear. Running has taught me one thing. Never look back long enough to hesitate. My son sleeps against my chest, wrapped tight, his tiny mouth opening and closing like he's still searching for me even while I hold him. Every breath he takes feels like a dare to the world. Come and try to take him. Outside, the air is cold and metallic. The city hasn't woken yet. No cameras, no crowds. I pay cash for a ride and give a fake address out of habit. When the car pulls away from the hospital, my chest tightens. But it isn't regret. It's relief. 3 weeks later, I'm living in a place that smells like old wood and rain. The building sits above a closed-down bookstore, the kind with cracked windows and a bell that hasn't rung in years. The landlord doesn't ask questions. I don't offer answers. We exchange envelopes and silence, and that's enough. I take whatever work I can find. Night shifts, cleaning jobs, stock rooms where no one looks too closely at the help. I learn how to sleep in fragments, how to eat standing up, how to change diapers with one hand while reheating soup with the other. I name him Leo, because he's loud, because he fights, because the world will need to hear him coming. Some nights, when he cries and won't stop, I press my forehead to the wall and breathe through the panic clawing up my throat. My body still aches. My instincts still scream for an alpha who isn't there. Henry's mark has faded to a pale scar, but its absence feels louder than its presence ever did. Good. I don't want his protection. I don't want his money. I want his ignorance. I almost get what I want. The first time I meet him, it's raining. I'm late for my shift, Leo bundled under my coat as I jog down the street toward the 24-hour cafe that pays me under the table. My foot slips on wet concrete. I go down hard. Pain flashes up my spine. Leo wails. Hey, careful. A voice cuts through the rain. Strong. Controlled. Hands steady me before I can scramble up, shielding Leo instinctively from the cold. The scent hits me a second later. Alpha, yes, but not sharp. Grounded. Warm like cedar and smoke. I freeze. I've got him, the man says calmly, already checking Leo's face with practiced ease. He's fine. Didn't hit his head. I should pull back. I should snatch my baby and run. Instead, my body goes still. The man looks at me then. Really looks. Not at my clothes, not at the tired slump of my shoulders, but my eyes. You're bleeding, he says. I glance down. My palm is scraped raw. I hadn't even noticed. I'm fine, I say quickly. Thank you. He doesn't argue. He shrugs out of his jacket and drapes it over Leo without asking. The rain beads and slides off the fabric. I'm Felix, I add, because silence suddenly feels dangerous. Adrian, he replies. No last name. No questions. Just that. He walks me to the cafe, holding an umbrella over both of us, matching his stride to mine without comment. When we stop outside the door, he hands Leo back gently, like he knows how precious weight works. Be careful, Adrian says. I nod. I don't see him again for 2 weeks. He becomes part of my routine without ever pushing his way in. Sometimes he's outside the cafe when I finish my shift, sipping black coffee like he has nowhere else to be. Sometimes he's in the bookstore below my apartment, fixing shelves that no one will ever browse again. He never asks about Leo's father. He never reaches for me without invitation. When Leo cries, Adrian makes funny, low noises that settle him instantly. When I'm exhausted, he listens instead of offering solutions. His presence doesn't demand anything from me. That's what terrifies me. One night, after a shift that leaves my hands shaking, I snap. You shouldn't be around us, I tell him flatly as he walks beside me. People like me come with trouble. Adrian stops. Rain drips from the edge of his coat. His eyes are steady, unreadable. Then I'll stand where the trouble is, he says. You don't have to carry it alone. My chest tightens. I turn away before he can see my face. Across the city, Henry hears my name for the first time in 3 years. It slips out during a conversation he isn't really listening to. Something about hospital records, about an Omega who left against medical advice, about a child born under a false ID. The name hits him like a bruise pressed too hard. Felix. For the first time, regret isn't abstract. It's sharp. It's personal. And it's already too late. I don't know that yet. All I know is that when Leo laughs for the first time, real laughter, bubbling and wild, Adrian is the one holding him. And for the first time since the night everything broke, I let myself believe I might survive what Henry left behind. I tell myself I'm not falling. I'm just adjusting, learning new edges, letting routine settle where fear used to live. Adrian becomes part of my days the way weather does. Unavoidable, constant, quietly shaping everything around him. He fixes the broken heater in my apartment without making a show of it. He stocks the downstairs shop with old books he rescues from storage, even though no one comes and accepts me. He brings groceries and leaves them on the counter without asking for repayment. I let him. That's the first line I cross. The second comes when Leo gets sick. It's late. Too late for clinics, too early for the city to care. Leo burns against my chest, his little body trembling, his cries weak and hoarse. Panic claws up my throat so fast I nearly drop my phone. I call Adrian without thinking. He's at my door in 15 minutes. No questions. No judgment. Just movement. Pack a bag, he says, already checking Leo's temperature with calm, capable hands. We're going now. At the emergency clinic, they mistake him for the father. I wait for him to correct them. He doesn't. He stays beside me through the night, one arm resting lightly behind my shoulders, not claiming, not marking, just anchoring. When the doctor finally says it's just a fever, that Leo will be fine, I sag so hard I almost slide off the chair. Adrian catches me. You did good, he murmurs. The words hit harder than praise ever should. After that, pretending becomes harder. My omega instincts respond to him in ways I can't suppress or explain. Not heat, nothing that simple. It's trust. It's the way my body relaxes when he's near, the way my sense settles instead of spiking. I hate myself for it. You don't know what you're getting into. I tell him one night as he washes dishes in my tiny kitchen. Henry, Leo's father, he's not someone you provoke. Adrian doesn't stop scrubbing the plate. Does he know where you are? No. Then he's irrelevant. That's not. He turns then, eyes sharp. Felix, look at me. I do. Whatever he was to you, Adrian says evenly, he isn't anymore. He doesn't get to dictate your fear. I flinch like I've been struck. He notices. His expression softens immediately. I won't push, he says. But I won't walk away either. My throat tightens. I hate how much I want to lean into him. How badly I want to believe him. Henry, meanwhile, can't stop thinking about me. The name festers. Felix. He tracks the hospital first. Then the records go cold. Someone paid in cash. Someone disappeared on purpose. For the first time in his life, Henry realizes he underestimated an omega. The thought eats at him. He tells himself it's about responsibility, about legacy, about the child that should have been his. But when he imagines me standing somewhere without him, stronger, defiant, gone, the regret twists sharp and ugly in his chest. The confrontation comes on a Tuesday. I'm locking up the cafe when a familiar scent slices through the night. My blood goes cold. Henry steps out of the shadows like he owns them. Perfect coat. Perfect posture. The man who erased me with a word. Felix, he says softly. You ran far. My hands shake, but I don't step back. You're trespassing, I say. Leave. His eyes flick past me, to the stroller just inside the door. Understanding dawns. You kept it. I bare my teeth. He's not yours. Henry smiles like he used to when he thought he was in control. I made a mistake, he says. I can fix it. Before I can answer, a presence moves beside me. Adrian steps into the light. He doesn't snarl. He doesn't posture. He simply places himself between Henry and my child. This conversation is over, Adrian says calmly. You're leaving. For the first time, Henry hesitates. And for the first time, I don't feel alone. That night, as I watch Adrian secure every lock, every window, I realize the truth I've been avoiding. Safety doesn't feel like a promise whispered in the dark. It feels like someone standing in front of you when danger finally shows its face. Henry doesn't leave the city. I know because fear has a rhythm, and mine never settles again. Every creak outside the apartment makes my spine go rigid. Every unfamiliar scent on the street sends my instincts screaming. I start varying my routes, changing schedules, keeping Leo close enough that his heartbeat presses into my ribs. Adrian notices. He doesn't comment. He adjusts. He walks me to work without calling it protection. He carries Leo when my arms shake, never framing it as help. At night, he sits at my kitchen table, silent and watchful, like a guard who understands the cost of distraction. You don't have to stay. I tell him one evening, the words scraping my throat raw. This isn't your mess. Adrian looks at me for a long moment. Felix, he says quietly, I chose this. No alpha had ever said that to me before. Henry chose convenience. Henry chose reputation. Henry chose himself. The second time Henry approaches me, he doesn't bother with shadows. It's broad daylight. The street is crowded. He waits until I'm halfway down the block, Leo strapped against my chest, before stepping into my path. You look tired, Henry says, like we're catching up over coffee. Rage steadies me. What do you want? His gaze drops to Leo, hunger flickering there before calculation smothers it. I want my son. I laugh. It's harsh. Uncontrolled. You signed away that right when you told me to disappear. That was before, Henry says. I didn't know. You knew enough. His jaw tightens. I can give him everything. I step closer, close enough that he can smell me, scarred Omega, defiant, unbroken. You don't even know his name. Something cracks. Henry's composure slips, just for a second. Felix, don't do this out of spite. Adrian's presence settles at my back like a wall. This is harassment, Adrian says calmly. You will leave. Henry turns slowly, eyes cold. And you are. The man raising the child you abandoned. The words land harder than any blow. Henry scoffs. You think an Omega belongs with someone like you? You're temporary. Adrian doesn't react. I do. You never loved me, I say, voice shaking but loud. You loved control. And when I stopped being convenient, you erased me. The crowd's attention shifts. Phones come out. Witnesses. Henry stiffens. Think carefully, he warns me. You're making this public. I smile. Good. He files paperwork 2 days later. Custody claims. Legal threats. Money weaponized like everything else he touches. I spend a night vomiting from stress, curled on the bathroom floor while Leo sleeps unaware in his crib. My instincts scream at me to submit, to survive the way Omegas are taught to. Adrian sits beside me, rubbing slow circles into my back. We'll fight this, he says. And we'll win. You don't know him, I whisper. He doesn't lose. Adrian's voice doesn't waver. Neither do I. Court is ugly. Henry plays the remorseful alpha, spinning a story of regret and responsibility. He paints me as unstable, emotional, reckless. He gestures at Adrian like he's a phase I'll outgrow. I don't cry. I tell the truth. I talk about the envelope of money, about being told to erase myself, about giving birth alone, bleeding, laughing because there was nothing else left to do. When the judge asks why Henry didn't come forward sooner, his answer stumbles. When they ask Adrian why he's here, he doesn't hesitate. Because Felix and Leo are my family, he says. Not by blood, by choice. Henry looks at me then, really looks. And I see it. The regret. Not love. Not longing. Loss. He lost something he assumed would always be there to take back later. The ruling comes weeks later. No custody. Supervised visitation denied. No parental claim recognized. Henry leaves the courtroom pale, jaw clenched so tight I expect to hear it crack. Outside, he stops me one last time. I never meant to hurt you, he says. I look at him, truly look, and feel nothing. You didn't mean to care, I reply. He doesn't follow us after that. That night, Adrian stands in my doorway, hesitating for the first time since I've known him. You don't have to face the rest alone, he says. I step into his arms. For the first time, I let myself rest. Peace doesn't arrive all at once. It comes in pieces, small, stubborn things that refuse to disappear. Morning light spilling across the kitchen floor. Leo's laughter echoing down the narrow hallway. Adrian humming off-key while he makes breakfast like he's been doing it his whole life. I wake one morning and realize I'm not bracing for anything. The thought startles me more than fear ever did. Adrian never pushes for a label. He never asks what we are or where this is going. He simply stays. Every day. Every night. He learns Leo's moods, his favorite toys, the way he likes to be rocked when sleep won't come. He memorizes my silences, too, the ones that mean I need space and the ones that mean I'm drowning. One evening, as Leo sleeps between us on the couch, I finally speak the truth I've been circling for months. You love him, I say quietly. Adrian doesn't look away from Leo. Yes. And me? He turns then, eyes steady, open in a way that makes my chest ache. Yes, he says again. No qualifiers. No promises wrapped in conditions. My Omega instincts respond, not with panic, not with submission, but with recognition. This is my choice. Henry fades into news clippings and whispered gossip. He loses contracts. A scandal breaks, nothing illegal, nothing dramatic. Just enough truth to stain his perfect image. The alpha who abandoned an Omega. The child he tried to reclaim only after someone else stepped in. I hear about it from strangers. I feel nothing. Once, months later, I see him across the street. He looks thinner, older. His gaze catches mine, and for a moment, something desperate flashes across his face. Regret finally stripped bare. He opens his mouth. I turn away. Leo tugs my sleeve, impatient, wanting to be carried. I lift him easily, his weight familiar, grounding. Up, he demands. I laugh and comply. The night Adrian marks me, it isn't dark. The room is filled with soft lamplight. Leo sleeps down the hall, safe, dreaming. Adrian asks me 3 times if I'm sure. I am. When his teeth break my skin, the pain is sharp but clean. No fear tangled in it, no lies whispered to keep me still. My body accepts him because my heart already has. The bond settles warm and solid, like stone laid carefully in place. I've got you, Adrian murmurs. I believe him. Years later, Leo asks about his father. I tell him the truth. Someone helped bring you into the world, I say. And someone else chose to stay. He considers that, then smiles and runs back to Adrian, who lifts him high, laughing. From the window, I watch them together, my alpha, my child, and understand the full shape of what I survived. Henry thought love was ownership. I learned love is presence. And that is why I won.